Go live.
I've been live.
Yeah, it was just on the YouTube side. I was looking at iffy. Alright, I got it. Should be live. Yeah, we're live. There you go. Go live.
Hey, we're live. I've been live.
There we go. Awesome.
Yeah, it was just on the YouTube side. I was looking at iffy. Alright, I got it. Oh, now we gotta... Yeah, we're coming through the speakers again? Oh, no, that's through the YouTube. Never mind.
Yeah.
Good for introductions.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Real Estate Mastery session number 2 with our main man, Andrew Ragusa. He's the handsome devil you see on your screen there. I just want to say, doing something a little different tonight. So all the time when we did Real Estate Mastery last cycle in the first event, we have me and Ryan Foreman, who records all our events, in a call with Andrew. And we want to open that up to some other people if they want to be in the call. We're in the Discord underneath education and events. So if you want to just join the call with us and be an active listener, feel free to join the call on the Discord. Otherwise, I will let Andrew take it away. Session number 2, Andrew, what do we got today?
Oh, man, we're going to go over lead gen, the philosophies behind communication, and ensuring that people receive those comms. And then what else? There was, whatever, lead gen. It'll be good. Don't worry. We got, so do you want to announce who won last week's thing, or do you want to do that at the end? What do you want to do?
We can just say it. I'll let you do the honors.
Who did we give it to? Was it the first person or the second person? Because I suggested two.
It was Chelsea, no?
I suggested 2.
Well, we'll give away another one tonight.
Okay, so Chelsea's going to get the first one. So Chelsea from New Hampshire, Chelsea Donahue, congratulations on getting some pay-per-click lead gen program up and running so you can start bringing in leads. And Luca's going to help you set that up. Actually, Juan's here on the call too, so you'll talk to Juan. And congratulations. So do we have enough people in there? Should we start rolling?
And for everyone in the Discord call, by the way, all of it's getting streamed on YouTube. So the link is, let's pop the link in general chat so you all can see it.
All right, cool. So let's jump in, guys. So first thing I want to go over is the philosophy behind communication. Give me 1 second. Let me just close this door. Okay. Now, as realtors, our job basically boils down to communication. Everything that we do is about communicating because we're not like, paper pushers like an attorney would be. I know in some states realtors do the paperwork. It's fine. But without negotiating, communicating, and actually educating the customer, we're not doing anything really more important than that. That's the number one thing, is creating influence, getting that customer to understand things so you're guiding them to make the right decision. So like everything boils down to communication. And unfortunately, it's not always taught. And there's a couple things I just want to highlight about it first. So I'm just going to do a quick screen share. And I just want to give you this quick little example to kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about when I say the cycle of communication. So on my screen, you can see we have this box is labeled person 1. We have another box labeled person 2. And here we have these arrows. One's going to the other person, the other one's coming back. This is a typical cycle of communication. So it starts like this. This person starts with an idea or an intention, right? They can have like the intent to communicate something, right? Or an idea they want to communicate, whatever it is. They take this idea and they send it along this line to person 2, and this person needs to completely duplicate the idea. And what I mean by duplicate is an exact copy of what was said. And unfortunately, that does not always happen. That same idea that you send across the line, it passes through a filter. And that filter is that person's experience, ideas, beliefs, and everything that they've ever done in life. If you remember from lesson 1, I was telling you how reality is based on, everyone's reality is different, and it's always based upon what that person has seen, known, touched, tasted, smelled for their entire life from the moment they were born up until now. So if everyone has a different reality, sending the idea and the message across this line to the other person is actually a little bit more difficult of a task than we sometimes realize. What ends up happening is sometimes as the first person trying to send out the communication, we send it out, and then we're not being conscious of the fact that what I'm saying to this person might not be making a carbon copy, so to speak, in their mind. It might not be exactly photocopying the message to them. And how do you know? How do you know when that message is actually being received and duplicated? That's when they send you a communication back. And this communication right here, I need to, I can't write down here because let me see if I can write this shit. Because I'm doing this on Microsoft Word. This communication right here is called an acknowledgement. Acknowledgement. Okay? So I send a communication along to person number 2, and they send something back that lets me know that communication was received. All right? So think of this. Okay, we're going to say, when you say to someone, hey, I want to show you this property. It's at 123 Main Street. And it's got 5 beds, 3 baths, and I think it's exactly what you're looking for. Now you send that message across the line, and they respond with, that in itself is a communication. The look on their face, they're staring at you, they're blank, they're not actually duplicating the message. Or maybe they say something back that's out of context of what you just said. Can you honestly say that this person has duplicated the message? No. Right? So as a realtor, we want to look for these visual cues that the person completely understands what we're talking about. Sometimes you might have someone say something like, okay, great, awesome, where is it? Or maybe they'll ask a follow-up question, right? If you hear something in context with what you said, then the chances are that your message was received. Now think about any time someone has explained something to you that you have never done before, and they're using a bunch of vocabulary that you might not be using on a daily basis because you're not in that field. It makes it very hard for the person receiving the communication to completely understand what was being said to them. It's our job to make sure that when we speak to customers, we're being conscious of the fact that they actually received the message. Does everyone understand that? Anybody have any questions so far? All right, good.
Makes sense, man.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll give a good example if you want.
Yeah, go for
a little example. So in my search for real estate content across the web, I stumbled upon a first-time home buyers forum, and they were complaining about how real estate agents don't explain all the terms. And the example they used was insurance binder. They said, well, we thought an insurance binder was like a 3-ring binder that we have to put together for our insurance, right? Mm-hmm. So just a small thing like that.
Classic example. That's perfect. That's actually the best example I could have given, because it's a perfect demonstration of what I'm talking about when I say one reality is in us, but that other person has another. And when you might send that message across, your intent is to give them something specific. And you got to make sure that they received what you wanted them to understand. So you want to look for the signs. They have the look on their face like they understand. Sometimes they do a head nod. But if you see them squinting their eyes and they're like, something like this, chances are they misunderstood something. If they give you a blank look, they have their jaw open, or maybe they tilt their head a little bit to the side. Right? A little confused. There's probably something that you said that they don't understand. And you do not want to move past, in your sales cycle, a misunderstood word. If you ever find yourself in a position where you're trying to close on a client and they can't make a decision, I promise you it's because something you said they did not understand. There's an objection they didn't tell you. But there's a good chance that if you're talking to this customer and you're telling them, come on, let's make an offer. It's time to make an offer. Offer this much. This is what your monthly payment's going to be with this amount and blah, 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 blah. And with this, we're going to win. if they don't understand what you're describing, you're going to get an answer like, okay, let me think about it. When people have a misunderstood, a word they don't get or something that's not fully understand, it stops them. They can't move into action. You can't expect them to make decisions without knowledge, without information. Think about yourself. You're asked to make important decisions, but you don't know what you're deciding upon. And the other person who's communicating to you is using terminology that you just don't understand. How can you make those decisions? It's not possible. And now we as realtors, we're not always conscious of the fact that the other person is not fully duplicating the message. So what I want you to do is start paying attention when you communicate to the customer. Did this person get what I intended for them to understand? It's a really powerful thing to look at in a sales cycle. Some people are so focused on getting through their sales pitch and they have their comebacks for all the objections that they're not paying attention whether or not they actually communicated to the other person. They're not paying attention like, did this person learn something from me? Did I answer there? Do they have clarity when they speak with me? You know, most of the time when I close on a customer, like I'm taking a listing or let's use taking a listing for example, right? So like I sit down with a customer and they'll ask me something like, you know, what is this going to cost me? I've gotten so good at what I do with closing on the customer that I'll tell them your closing costs are going to be about this much money. I factor in my commission, the attorney fee, and whatever things they might have to do. Like if they have going for a mortgage, I give them a rough estimate on that. If they need to do a title search, I give them an estimate on that. And I give them such a great number in their mind, a ballpark figure of what they're actually going to be spending on closing costs, that when they're done talking to me, they're like, oh, okay, I get it. So I'm probably going to walk away with this much money. Now, I'm not telling you need to go out there and learn all the fees. It does help if you do that, right? But the point is that I don't leave that customer misunderstood. They sat down with me and they're not thinking like, okay, if he says like he could sell my house for this much, but then I don't really know what I'm going to get, and I don't really know how much I have to spend to do this, and I don't really know how much I'm going to have left over. They can't make a decision with me at that point. They're going to have to say to me at that listing presentation, okay, I need to think about it. I need to figure this out. Let's touch base again. They're going to want me to call them back. I'm going to have to resort to follow-up. But at this point, what I did was I actually worked into the listing presentation all of the numbers. So I don't want them to have a reason to leave me and have to go figure out what things are going to cost. I look up whether or not they have a mortgage on the house. We factor in what we could sell it for, minus paying back the mortgage, minus paying any undue taxes. If there's any other liens on the property, take away commissions, take away fees for all the other miscellaneous stuff going on that we do in our state. We have attorney fees, we have whatever, appraisal fees, closing costs, whatever. And I give them a number. I say, you're probably going to walk away with this. And that gives them so much more certainty to make a decision because I'm not leaving them with hang-ups. You understand? Now, I'm not telling people to go out there and learn the numbers. You could do that if you want to. It's very helpful and it will make you a better closer. But just be conscious of not leaving that person with misunderstandings. Okay, so let's go over communication. So now that we understand the cycle, right? When we send out the communication, we don't want to leave the person with misunderstoods. We want to make sure the message is completely copied. Let's talk about how we're going to deliver that message. And if you guys remember from the first session that we did, what was it, like 4 months ago, 6 months ago? We talked about two types of communication, written and spoken communication. All right, so you might want to write these down. Now, in written communication, you have a specific phenomena that people don't pay attention to, but I'm about to blow your mind with this. Written communication is permanent until it's destroyed. Okay, take a minute, think about that. Written communication is permanent until it's destroyed. And by written, I mean not just written on paper, pens, postcards, flyers, whatever. I'm thinking even on the internet, on in emails, right? Social media posts. All of that information is going to go out into the universe, and it's going to send a message out to anyone who confronts it until it is taken down or destroyed. It has to be taken away. Even a piece of paper. When you take a piece of paper and you mail it to a customer and you have your name your company, whatever, your promo that you're working on that time. That piece of paper is physically going to sit in the universe with words on it. It might be on their desk. It may be on their refrigerator. It may be in their garbage. We don't know where they're going to put it. But it stays out into the world until someone literally destroys it. You have to take it and throw it away. Even when it's thrown away in that garbage pail, someone can open it up and read it. They'd have to burn it. Or it'd have to be, broken down, disintegrated. So written communication has this power to stay out into the world. Does everyone understand what I'm talking about? Any questions on that so far?
Nope. Makes sense. And I've heard you talk about this before, and it's also why you're a big fan of postcards and mailers, right?
Right. So any form of written communication is what we want to just send out, and you want to keep sending it out, right? You want to keep blasting, whether it's email blasts, postcards, mailers, flyers, letters. Every holiday, I write Christmas cards and Hanukkah cards or whatever. Like whatever there's a holiday coming up that's appropriate for cards. I take cards, I handwrite cards, and I mail them out to anybody I'm prospecting, and I'll even send them to past clients for the ones that I like. And then, just the point is to just stay out there, right? Because it just keeps you top of mind. And you don't. What was that?
How many people do you do that with? Because if you're prospecting as like 200 people, that's a lot to write a card to or a letter to.
Then I'll do 200 cards.
Do you handwrite the entire letter or card, or do you just sign your name, or how do you do that?
It depends on the person. Depends on what's going on. So, for example, if I'm going to prospect someone that I've had conversations with and I know something specific about them, then in the card I'm going to write, I can't wait to do blah, 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 blah with you, whatever we spoke about. I'm absolutely going to mention whatever we spoke about. But then if there's others that I don't really have a lot of communication with, and I don't know much about them yet, they're going to get the same general message as anyone else. Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful New Year. Hope to help you with your real estate needs soon, right? And then sign it. Simple, and it takes time, but I do it every year.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, we do it every year. Never skip it. Every Thanksgiving, I go to Restaurant Depot and I buy pies, and I take pumpkin pies and cherry pies and pecan pies, and I go around to all past clients and I leave it on their doorstep with a thank you card, and it just says, "Have a great holiday. Here's a little sweet treat," something like that. Sometimes I'll look for a pun online. I can't think of one off the top of my head right now, but just write something. I do that too, and that'll be specifically to the clients that I like. Because there are clients I've sold things to that I don't ever want to see these people again.
They don't deserve a pie.
No, they're not getting a pie from me. Yeah. Right? Okay, so when it comes to this written communication, we want to be mindful of the fact that what we write is permanent. So now think about what you write online. Now, how many people are getting into trouble for past things they said online that get resurfaced, and now social media is bad?
Wow, dude.
Right?
Never ending.
Yeah. I mean, people are literally getting chastised for things they said 20 years ago. Then there's other memes out there where you'll see a politician who said one thing, and then they'll post above it the opposite thing that they said, their counterpoint, right? That they said 10 years earlier, and they're just saying whatever people want to hear. Right? Because whatever you put out into the world is permanent unless you destroy it. And unfortunately on the internet, it won't be destroyed. Actually, I remember Chelsea had told us one time that she went through all her social media posts and she hashtagged New Hampshire on her social media posts. And she got her first Instagram lead from somebody who was just scrolling deep through the hashtag New Hampshire on Instagram. So they were following hashtag New Hampshire, and they found her post. And it wasn't even a new post. It was an old post. But it was hashtag, and they ran up, and she got a lead from doing that. And again, it's just another example of why this is permanent, why it's out there. Think about when you send a postcard or a flyer to a customer, and what if they're motivated, right? There's a lot of motivated people out there. I mean, especially when I do my postcards, I target the ones that are motivated. I usually send them to people who I went door knocking to, and I know they want to sell. Because I've already door knocked on their house, right? So they're going to get the postcards for me because they cost more money. but it's a targeted postcard, so it works better. So think about when the postcard arrives, and they're looking at it, and they're not necessarily going to throw it out. They might put it down somewhere, and it sits on the desk or in the kitchen, or maybe it gets piled other mail on top of it. Or maybe it gets moved somewhere else. It gets put into an office, a den. It could be taken to work. Other people are going to see that written communication as well. And that piece of paper will permanently send a message out to everyone who confronts it. That is the power of having something written. It will constantly communicate to whoever sees it. And a lot of people like to say, flyers don't work, postcards don't work, mailers don't work, whatever. I honestly believe those are the people who just don't want to spend the money and they're being cheap. Because
or the time.
Yeah,
they're being cheap with their time and lazy.
Absolutely a time commitment, without a doubt. What I started doing was leveraging the banks that I work with, and I get them to help me.
Yeah.
You know, they'll have someone in the office that'll stuff envelopes, or my neighbor's kid across the street, I paid her $30. She was here for, I think, 3 hours, which is quick. She's like 14 years old, $10 an hour. She was willing to fold paper and put it into an envelope. You can get it done. Right? And she stuffed I think she stuffed 300 envelopes for me in 3 hours.
I'll tell you what was most effective in my business was integrating the written in with other forms of lead generation. So I'll give you an example. I used to cold call for email addresses. Like the whole goal of the cold call was to get people's email addresses to put them on my email trail. Now, if you've ever cold called, you know you're going to dial 500 numbers and maybe talk to 10 people, and of those, like 5 are going to be receptive, right? You hope. So the 5 that were receptive, because I was using Red X, I had their address and whatever, I had a stack of thank you cards right there. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, thanks so much for taking the time to speak with me today. Hope to talk to you again soon. Luca, business card in, and they're on my email list. Right. So I'll never send them another card after that unless we do a deal together, but the emails got a higher open rate because they had already received by the time they were getting my email, they had already had 2 touches from me.
Right.
The cold call, the written card, which went a long way with people, and then the email.
I'm going to give you guys an email resource too before this is over, so just hang tight, okay? Does everyone understand the message I'm trying to relay about written communication, how it's permanent, it can influence anyone who comes across it, and it just stays out there. It doesn't have the same influence as spoken, but the fact that it lasts makes it very effective and useful tool. Anybody have any questions about that?
You think video counts as a form of written communication on the internet?
No, but it does count as a form of spoken. Verbal, which is the next one I'm going to go over. Right? So in verbal communication has its own special little magic power that people don't always pay attention to. Verbal communication can take a person's attention from their mind and pull it to you. You can literally bring someone into your space by using verbal communication. Think, for example, when you get on the phone, right? You're actually at work, you're doing whatever you got to do, and then your phone rings. Your thoughts are focused here in front of you right now. Now the phone rang, and someone is taking your attention and putting it to them. And what they're saying is now the dominant thoughts going on in your mind. So verbal communication has the power to create high influence and to pull attention. So whereas written communication could do that, it's not as effective. Verbal communication can cause big impact. The drawback is that once it's said, it's said. You can't undo it, but it's gone. It could be forgotten. It doesn't stay out into the universe. You have to say it again. Not like written communication, someone's got to destroy it. Now, more importantly than what is said, it's how you say it. For example, when we're on a cold call and we're speaking with a customer, and you're actually calling them up and say, hey, this is Andrew Ragusa from Remy Realty. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. Just a quick question. We just sold this house at 123 Main Street, and we have 10 offers on the property, and we have a lot of buyers left over. By any chance, were you interested in selling your property? Here in New York, you need to be on the phone and off the phone fast. No one wants to stay on the phone with you for more than 10, 15 seconds unless you actually have something they want to talk to you about. In fact, a lot of people don't even like to pick up the phone. People get annoyed when you call if you didn't text first, which I can't stand.
New York's a double-edged sword because you get the Italians who you can't get off the phone either.
Like when you and I talk and I'm like, what about this idea? What about that idea?
Yeah. And then I look down at the phone and the call's been going on for 58 minutes. That's New York.
That is New York, yeah. But the point is that when you're speaking to a person, you can create high levels of influence, and we want to do it by using the tone of our voice, the way we project to them, and you want to use, sort of like attention-grabbing things such as whispers, right? So like, I got to tell you about this property. You're not going to believe what it sold for. Or you're not going to believe how many offers we got. Right? Just lowering my voice for 1 minute to say something that sounds exclusive, or it sounds a little bit exciting, or it's like there's an anticipation before what you're about to say. That right, that is an influence tone. That's going to deliver a message to another. Like, what is it? Like, they just want to know. You're going to pull them in. You can't do that with written communication. Think about if you saw that on a piece of paper. It's nowhere near as effective. Think about verbal communication as a form of almost like mind control. I'm not telling you you're going to make people, do what you want them to do. Well, you might to an extent. You're a salesman, right? But you can influence thoughts and change minds and control minds and move them, start them, change them, stop them, whatever you want to do by using influence. And that usually only comes from verbal. So if you guys have a good understanding about the two forms of communication and how we're going to use them in the lead gen part, I'm going to move right into the 3 of my favorite forms of prospecting. Does anybody have any questions about anything we spoke about so far?
Taking questions from either the YouTube live chat guys or here in the Discord call. But if everyone's good, we'll move.
If anybody wants to drop an example or share a story, now's the time.
All right, 3 prospecting methods, brother.
All right, let's roll. Cool.
The meat and potatoes.
Okay, so I want to give you guys some resources. First, let's talk about door knocking. So if you notice what I'm wearing, I bought some collared shirts. This is like one of those dry fit shirts. It's like all polyester, and it's got my logo on it. It says my name, my company name. This right here is one of the most effective changes I've ever made to door knocking. The door open ratio since wearing this is incredible. When I was wearing regular, just trying to look business casual, people were literally like, why is this guy coming to my house? Now all of a sudden when I'm walking up, they know that I'm here for a reason. They know I'm working. There's a company logo over here. And it's incredible what it has done to make people open the door. I promise you, if you want to try one little thing, make yourself a little t-shirt. It's not hard. If you have a logo for your team, for your company, whatever, sometimes your company might sell you a shirt, right? Buy it and wear it. Okay, it's going to make a big difference. Now I want to show you guys some stuff. So you can go on Amazon and grab yourself a metal clipboard with storage. I'm sure you guys have seen other people go door knocking with these storage bins. And what we do here with my team is we take I have this one specifically. So we take this, I print out a whole bunch of flyers, which I'm going to show you guys as well. We store them in here, load them up. There's probably like 100 of them at any time. I have a yellow pad on the top. There's a little bin right here. You can see where they have the pens. Keep your pens in there. And now with the clipboard and the collared shirt with the logo on it, I look like I'm about to sell them Verizon or whatever. I look like I'm there for a reason. I look like I'm working for a company. Since we've done this, the number of people who open the doors has been incredible. I can't believe the difference. It's really incredible. I don't know if you guys remember. Do you remember the mastermind where I talked about doing surveys?
Yeah, it was recent. That was like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, so what I was doing when I was doing those surveys too was wearing the same shirt that I showed you. I had this clipboard. I printed out the surveys. And I stored on the bottom was like the ones that were filled out. The ones that were not filled out were on the top, or vice versa, whatever. I think it was like they were just in here. I had one slot for the filled out ones, one slot for the blank ones. I would talk to the customer, and I would write it all out, and then I would slide it in the bottom, pull out the next sheet, go to the next door. It was really fast, really simple, and I didn't get disorganized. What ends up happening a lot of times with people is that when they do this door knocking, they're walking around with flyers, and they are going door to door. And if you're holding these flyers in your hands, it's a hot day out, or whatever, you're walking a lot, you're actually going to create a sweat imprint on your flyers. And they're going to break down in quality. They're not going to be as nice before you even get to give them out. So having something simple like this is going to be a game changer for you. It's going to make sure that your flyers look nice.
What's some examples outside the survey? Like what would be on these flyers? You're door knocking around a listing you have, an open house. Like what's your bread and butter?
I'm going to pull up an example of one. Let's see there. Okay, so here's one that I did with Adriana when we were going down in Freeport. She sold these 3 houses in Freeport. So I took the addresses that we sold. And if you've never sold something, just go to your office and try to find an agent who doesn't mind if you just want to say that the office sold this. You know, when I worked in Keller Williams and Better Homes and Gardens, I didn't really care. I wouldn't mind letting someone help. You know, you could circle prospect. If I'm not going to do it, you might as well do it. Go for it, right? So, like, you can find someone who's done something. Now, Adriana did these 3 sales together with me, and so we were going to door knock together, her and I. So I printed out this flyer. It's really simple, very straightforward. It's not too much going on the page. I'm not trying to confuse anybody. I'm trying to be direct and as simple as possible. I want my message to communicate to a 5-year-old. You understand what I'm saying when I say that? I'm not saying a literal 5-year-old, but the point is the message should have nothing confusing about it. So we just sold these properties, and we're usually door knocking around this addresses. And he said, we have multiple buyers looking in this area. If you're interested in selling, please call us ASAP. People have called back from just taking the flyer even when they're not home. Leave the name, leave the phone number, make yourself a little slogan. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. We just threw something in there. And then we have our headshot, and that's it. At the bottom, I have this little disclosure here. If your home is listed with another broker, please disregard. This is not intended as a solicitation. Any questions about that?
No. Chelsea writes, could you do a flyer, top tips to get your home ready to sell with a QR code to evaluation landing? Absolutely.
Why not?
I think you could do anything. It's just more important that you're going out there and getting the written word out there while leaving the opportunities open for the spoken word for the people who are home, right?
The thing I like about door knocking
jab, punch.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I like about door knocking, it's a 1-2 hit, right? So, like, not only am I going to talk to them and see what's going on, but I'm leaving something with them. And when I said before that I only mail postcards to the people I met door knocking, there's a lot. I've met a lot of people who want to make some move at some point. They're just not sure when. So I have them. I take on my yellow pad, which is at the top of the clipboard, I write down their address, their name, and I ask them. I say to them, hey guys, I actually send out a once-a-month newsletter, an email newsletter. Is it all right if I add you to it and you just keep in touch? No one really says no to me. I barely get anybody saying no. I tell them I'm sending you 1 email a month. I mean, in reality, I might send 2. But, I simply just ask for their email address every time I'm there. especially if they want to sell. So that I have their name, I have their email, I have their address. They all go into the CRM, which I'll show you.
Before you do that, Andrew, could you reiterate, because we mentioned it, but you didn't actually go into it in this one. So for anyone who wasn't in that mastermind, what are you doing with the surveys?
Okay, so actually,
what's the methodology?
Is Jonathan here? Because Jonathan actually made like Surveys 2.0, and I love what he did. And it'd be awesome if he would talk about. Is he in the group at all?
Yeah, John Verano's in here. What's up, John? You gotta unmute your mic.
Jonathan Verano.
He's in the call here, but his mic's not working.
Ah, damn. I know he sent it to me. What he did was so much better that I even wanted to copy it. So I want to use his example.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Talk about the
it's
surveys
a little
there.
it's a little glitchy on my end, but I just know that we're talking about the survey.
Yeah. So I remember when we were in the mastermind. I had mentioned that I was going door to door doing surveys, and I was asking 4 questions, and you tweaked the questions. And I remember talking to you, and I called you on the phone on the side, and I was like, John, that was brilliant. And I asked you to send it to me so I can copy it, right? Because I want to do the same thing. Just let everyone know, because I actually didn't make the changes on my end yet. So do it. Tell them about your way.
So the survey is, the general questions are, do you think this neighborhood will be affordable in the next 5 years?
Right.
If you were to move, where would you go? If you are considering moving, what is preventing you from making that move? Because as we discussed in the mastermind, there are some people that are just like, no, I plan on dying in this house.
Yep.
If you were to select a realtor to represent you, what's the most important characteristic they should have? And then the last is, would you like me to send you the results of this survey? And then I have my options here. I sent it to you. I have it actually in a Google form where I put everything in there.
Right.
And
so those are the same 5 questions I told you before. What was the difference between the way you were doing it and the way I was doing it? It was the Google form, right?
Yeah, so the way that I was doing it was I put a lot more detail. So on the Google form itself, I have first name, last name, street address, town, state, zip code, those questions. And then the last question, would you like me to send you the results of the survey? Yes, via email. Yes, via text. No. And then I ask for the email and cell phone number in the Google survey. Once I fill that all out in front of them, it goes through a zap on Zapier, which we might have to explain for those that don't know how the Zapier works.
Get into that
and then from there, it takes all the information from Zapier directly into my CRM.
Okay. So basically, he's walking around with a tablet, and he's got a Google form up in front of him, and he just added a few more things. Name, phone number, email, address, right? And then you have the 5 questions that I mentioned in the mastermind, which those questions are designed to specifically make them think. I don't know many people when I say, do you think it's going to be affordable to live here in 5 years, who are saying, yeah, absolutely. Because literally everything's getting more expensive right now. So that question is designed to make them think like, oh, maybe I won't be here in 5 years, right? So you say, is it going to be more affordable to live here in 5 years? If you were going to move, where are you going to go? What's preventing you from making that move now? And if you were going to hire a realtor, what will you look for in making that decision? What characteristics of the realtor are you looking for, right? So you just want to find out, what are people looking for in us, right? So then he takes all that, he does that on a Google sheet, a Google form, and then all that stuff gets uploaded to a Google sheet because it's automatic. And then he uses another program to sync that to his CRM, which we could always talk about that another time. But the point is to collect the data, right? You take all that, you throw it into CRM, and you're going to find people who want to move eventually. I want to give you another example of some of the leads I found. I'm trying to think of this guy's name. I think there's another guy named Andrew too. Andrew.
I mean, good problems to have when you have too many prospects that you can't remember them all.
Yeah, I mean it's a little crazy. So, all right, this guy Andrew Bayer. I was door knocking his house, right? And so that when I knocked on his door, I was with Anthony, his new agent who started with me. And it's funny because it was the 3rd door that we knocked on. And he was like, he opened the door and he's like, yeah, I absolutely want to sell. What do you think I can get for this house? So he wanted us to go in, and he invited us in the same day we were out door knocking, and I had to put a stop to that because we're not prepared to go in. You don't want to take a listing appointment last second. I don't want to walk into a person's house and not know what I'm going to talk about, not research the property, not know anything about it. So I had to say to the guy, I appreciate you inviting me in right now. What I need to do is take down your information, and I need to do a little research, and then I'm going to come back with what I find. This way I can have the appointment in a controlled setting. Also, I don't want to be taken off task. If my task right now is to door knock, I don't want a one win to stop me from getting potential 5-6 other wins and finding more leads. That guy, I might even be spending 40 minutes to an hour with him, and then I'm not even going to want to go back out there door knock again. So you don't want to be distracted from what you're doing, right? But this was an example of someone that I found. So like, because he did absolutely want to sell. We had a great sit down and talk. And then what he told me was he wants his son to finish the 1 year of school he has left, and then they're going to move back to Seattle. And then he eventually, we were chatting and talking, and I sent him some emails and stuff like, here, look, just checking in. And I can see that he's opening my emails. So I started to send him postcards. And I'll give you an example. Now, my CRM just does it for me, but you could get any postcard you want. And I was doing, where is it? Is it this one? I think it was this one. So they're like animal postcards. It's like, it doesn't even have to be real estate specific. Need room to grow, right? It's like this, you don't have to overthink it. Got big dreams, right? The point is to just keep showing up. And then what happens is he sees that. Usually someone sees the animal in the postcard and they're like, what is this, right? And they turn it over, and then there's me, right? This logo should be a little bigger. It's a little too small. Right?
I think you got to switch the screen on the stream, Andrew.
What's that? Oh, you can't see it?
Yeah, you got to change this scene.
You're good now?
I hope so. I got to watch through the delay on
I think
YouTube.
you're going to be fine.
Yeah, I think it'll be good.
Okay, so what I was saying before was, can you see the postcards on my screen by any chance? Okay, good.
You're all good.
So there's a series of postcards that I send out, which I'm using through my CRM. You don't have to do this. You can send them from anywhere. But I like that the CRM has it automated for me. It doesn't cost me much, $1.71 per postcard. I don't care. And I'm only sending them to people who I door knocked, and I know that they're going to do something because they told me. Right? So if you can see on my screen, there's a dog here with some kittens, and it said, need a new place to hang with your besties. Right? It's something silly. It has nothing to do with real estate. It's cats and dogs. But people will take this and they'll turn it around and open it. And then when they see on the other side, they're going to see me. They see my contact information. They see everything there. It's a little small. I got to make them bigger.
I like this one because it appeals to both cat people and dog people.
Right?
Really middle of the fence.
You know what's funny about this is that this is one of the things where I was talking about before about effective written communication, where it doesn't necessarily even have to be like 100% real estate related. A lot of people are thinking like, oh, I got to send postcards. Then I should send postcards showing all the closed sales or all the sales that we sold or what's listed, what's not listed. Yeah, I mean, you can do those, but I'm sending people pictures of dogs and cats, you know, and it works. It works. People we keep in touch and we stay talking to each other. So
now, Andrew, with these postcards, I mean, $1.70 isn't a lot, but if you were approaching this like, all right, I'm going to send out 1,000. Now we get into the price territory. Like, right. Okay, this is a significant, marketing budget I have to put behind this. But you're triaging your leads and you're really, quote unquote, investing the money and the time in the ones that you already feel are warm, right?
Well, what I was saying before is like, this is not the same as farming, right? I'm not just taking a zip code, buying a route, on the U.S. Postal Service. If you guys never done that, I'll show you how to do that. I'm not buying a route and sending out a generic postcard to everybody in that area. I'm sending it specifically to people who I've met from door knocking, and they said, yes, I will be moving at this point or that point. Right? So if I have a targeted lead that already has expressed interest to me, then that $1.71 investment is not that bad, and I'm not sending out 1,000. I might be sending out 100. Right? Or I might be sending out less. I might be sending 60, 40. I mean, imagine you had 40 sellers you're prospecting as a one-person agent. I mean, that would be a lot, right? So you could easily do that if you're outdoor knocking, and then that $1.71, it's going to cost you like $65 a month to send 40 postcards. Right? I think I probably only send about, I'm going to say less than 100 in total. And it's not even every single month. It might be like every 5 weeks or something. So it's like a little week in between. It doesn't matter. Like I take like $200 out of every closing, and it goes to that. So it's not the worst thing in the world. Right? So that's just the point I was trying to make, is show you an example of these written communications. So now, if we're wearing the shirt and you got the clipboard, you got your flyers, you have examples of flyers, you can do the one I showed you on the screen where it's past sold sales, and we're telling people we have buyers left over. And if you don't have a sold sale, team up with an agent in your office and tell them like, hey, let me circle prospect around your listing. Whatever deal I find, I'll split. You send them $1,000 or whatever. Send them $2,500. I don't know what your commissions are where you are. You can send them 25% if you want. It's totally up to you. Take something and give it back to the agent who helped you get your feet wet by giving you a listing to prospect, right? Or some of them don't care. They might just let you do it. So you could just take a little piece, give it back to them, and then make the same flyer that I just showed you. Simple, straightforward. Put your face on it, put your contact information on it, and the message is direct. We sold this and have buyers left over. Call me.
Right? Hey, I'll do you one better, Andrew.
Good.
Because I'm always loath to give away part of my deals. So with the market shifting to where we are, where there's not a huge buyer demand, but people are still listing, you can offer this to, a top producing agent in your office and say, hey, you got this new listing. Do you mind if I door knock around it on your behalf? And you can tell your seller that you have someone out there pounding pavement trying to get their house sold.
Brilliant.
Right? They look great to their seller. You don't have to give up a portion of your commission. And now your door knocking becomes whatever you want to do. Oh, and by the way, we just listed the house one street down.
Yeah.
Right? And everybody wins, and you don't have to give up a piece of your commission.
Brilliant. I love it. Yeah, that's a great move. Do that. I mean, you can make any sort of agreement that you like. The point is just get something out there, get out there and do it. Look professional. Look like it's. Let me tell you something. If someone would walk up to my house in a suit and tie, it would look weird, right? Especially if it's hot. It's not something that you would be wearing dress shoes for to do lots and lots of walking, and you're gonna ruin your clothes. So you want to wear things that are appropriate for what you're doing that still come across as professional, especially if you got your personal logo. If you don't have a personal logo, make one. Make a logo for yourself. You don't have to do the company logo. Make your logo. It could say team whatever. Or, you could just make something up for you. Make it personal to you, but it looks more presentable and professional. If you got the clipboard, you're dressed appropriately for it. Take down the lead's information and do targeted ads to them. Now, remember, I also said I grabbed their email address. I was emailing that guy that I showed you, and I could see in my CRM that he's opening my emails, right? So I got their email addresses. So I think you guys got the point when it comes to door knocking, right? We got a strategy. I'm going to move into cold calling and then email blasting. Anyone want to ask anything about that before I move on? All right, cool, because we're running out of time. Okay, I want to try to do this quickly. So, I don't know if you guys remember from last year, but there is a website that I sent you all to, which I love. My subscription expired, and I have to renew it. I wonder if it'll let me renew it really quick if I do it like this. Yeah, no, I gotta call customer support. Now, this is Cole's Realty Resource. If you guys remember this from last year, this is probably one of the best databases I ever had. If not, I'm gonna break it down and show it to you guys as much as I can without logging in. Okay? So this website right here will let you put in an address to any property you want, and you can then do a radius search. You can put a circle around that house, and you can do a quarter mile, half a mile, a full mile, whatever you want, 2 miles, and it will give you the name, email address, and phone number for all the people who live in that radius, and their home address. So you can farm and pull data like no other site I've seen. I don't know another site that does this. I'm sure there are others out there, but this is the one that I use. And also, it gives you the ability to target people based on their interests. So if you want, you can go in and do a smart search and search for people in an area who like fishing, or search for people in an area who like camping, or who are into technology, whatever. And it will pull up a list. And it'll generate a list with their name, cell phone number, and email. I'm not talking, they have landlines, but they also give you the cell phone number. It will also confirm whether or not the person is on the do not call list, and it will also confirm whether or not the person is the homeowner of a property. Now with this database, you can pull 1,000, 10,000 leads at once, export it as an Excel spreadsheet, and start smiling and dialing. One of the most common questions people ask me when they start out in real estate is they go, I don't know how to find leads. Where do I go get leads? I say, no problem. We log in, download a list. Here you go. Here's 1,500 names, phone numbers, and emails. Start calling. All right. Anybody have any questions about this?
Dominic wants to know, how does it compare to Vulcan 7? Vulcan is great, but it's so expensive.
So this is $1,000 for the year. And when you renew your membership, it's less. So I think I can get it for like $700 now this year. And maybe if you call them, they'll give you better pricing. But if you just sign up online, it's like, just under $1,000. It's like 800 something, close to 900.
80 to 90 bucks a month for the first year.
Yeah, but you got to pay it in full.
You got to pay it all in once.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, maybe if you ask them, you might want to ask them on the phone. They might have another payment plan. I never tried that way before. So
does and it's unlimited data pulls, or do they limit you to a certain amount of?
Unlimited. You can pull as much information as you want. I wish I could log in and show you guys. I want to see. Maybe I have I might have a downloaded already. Because I pulled data so many times, I might have one just sitting somewhere.
Dom says Vulcan is $300 a month.
Yes, I remember.
So to that, Dom, I just want to say, if this is running $85 a month, and I think Mojo has a plan for $50, you can get the same thing. Just you're gonna have to do your data pulls separately, but you can cut that $300 a month in half. I don't know if Vulcan limits you on how many records and phone numbers you can get, but
so listen, there's a slight difference between this and Vulcan, and I want you to be clear so you know before you make that decision. Vulcan 7 is an auto dialer, and it gives you the data that you purchase from them, which is good data. It's fine, but I'm pretty sure they're getting their data from software like this. I don't know exactly what they're doing, but that includes a dialer, and this does not. This is just
I'm saying at $300 a month, if this is running 85 and Mojo dialer is like $50 a month, I think. I know RedX is 89. It would be cheaper to get a RedX account and a Cole Realty account, this program you're showing us, than it would to get a singular Vulcan account, and you can accomplish the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that makes sense. And me personally, I like to hand dial. I know it's a pain in the ass, and nobody really likes to do it. It takes longer. Here's an example. Look at this. This is a list I pulled back in February. So we got Name, phone number, address, cell phones, and emails. And look how many we got. This is this one poll.
Wow.
This is all the zip code 11746. That's what I was searching.
I mean, if this is giving you email addresses, I can see how this could get very, very powerful if you were to combo it with targeted PPC ads.
Yeah, I need to sit. My foot is killing me. Yeah, and that's the next thing I wanted to kind of break into. So when we're making these calls and you're talking to people, you know, email is probably my favorite, which is kind of funny because it's like the least effective. But the reason I like getting email is because I know they open it, I can see it, and then you can do targeted ads on Facebook. And what I would sometimes do is we would take some sort of ad. I've done videos, which I'll give you an example. Let me see. If you have their email, you can find them on Facebook and put these ads in front of them, so that when they go through their newsfeed, they see you pop up in their newsfeed. I'm going to play one for you so you can see what I'm talking about. Oh man, I don't even know where they're saved. All right, but look, let's say for example, you can go to, you guys can literally break out your cell phone and record yourself inside a Best Buy, and you can make yourself a little video series that says top 10 things. And you can do this like selfie, just like this. You're gonna go, hi, my name is Andrew Ragusa. I'm from Remy Realty, and these are the best 5 things you can put in your house to increase your property value for less than $100 or less than $200. And then walk around and find stuff like, keyless entry locks and, track lighting and, cameras and whatever. You can find technology that's not expensive, and you can turn the house into a smart home. You can get light switches, like the light switches I have in my office. They sync to an app on my phone. I can control them. I can dim them, turn them on and off, whatever. That cost me $30. Right? So there's so many little things you could put in the house, and then you make these videos where you're walking around Best Buy and literally hold it in your hand. I wish I had one in the box. That'd be awesome if I had one in the box. But you literally just be like this. You're holding your hand and see this. This light switch is $30. And with this, you can transform your home into a smart home and make it so that you can turn your lights on and off whether or not you're home. And this will make your buyers go crazy. A small little fix to really impress people with the house. Right? And you make yourself a little video series. You could do 5 videos, 6 videos. Since you have their email addresses from pulling it from the database, now make those videos show up in those people's news feeds. I'm sure Juan can help you with that. Right? So there's so many ways to use the data. That's why I love using the emails, because you can just kind of play with it on social media. There's so many ways to use the data to get yourself out in front of people. When you're making those cold calls, I don't want to make us run too far over the time. When you're making those cold calls, be direct, and you want to tell people like, hey, my name's Andrew from Remy Realty. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I just want to let you know we sold 123 Main Street. We have a lot of buyers left over looking for a house. By any chance, are you interested in selling your home? Straightforward. I just asked them a question, but more important than what I say is how I say it. I'm trying to get their attention and pull them to me. I'm going to tell them, listen, I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I'm being direct, and I'm just asking them, are you interested in selling your home? If someone is interested, they'll engage you. If they're not interested, you move on and you make the next call. I know we're out of time. Does anybody want to talk about anything or go over anything that we talked about? Any more examples of stuff?
I think we're good. You want to just close out with the email marketing?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of touched on it, right? So the email marketing, you take the same database that I showed you before, right? We go back to Kohl's, pull yourself this list. And when you guys got to use, if you don't have a CRM that allows you to email blast, then you got to use something like MailChimp or Constant Contact. Do not upload this whole list at once into the database.
Oh yeah, blocks of like 100.
Yes, can't stress that enough. You take this information, and even if you could do 100, great. Sometimes you got to do even a little bit less. What happens is, if you start blasting this list without actually, when you upload it all at once and you send out an email blast, some of them are going to kick back. Some of them are not going to be delivered. Some of them are going to mark you as spam. They're going to say, I didn't sign up for this list, right? And if you get yourself too high of a percentage of kickbacks and spam marks or whatever, then the email blasting software will shut you down. Constant Contact will shut you down. MailChimp will shut you down. I don't know if your CRM will shut you down, but you will end up ruining your digital signature for your email. And what happens is you'll just end up in people's spam folders, even for people who didn't end up marking you that. All right, so when you go over email marketing, it's the same information that we're blasting. We want to send out the same direct communication. We just sold this, we just sold that. On the email, I'll be honest with you, when it comes to email, I would log into this site. If you guys don't use Canva, it's probably the best thing I have in my repertoire. I love Canva, I use it constantly. We make so much stuff here, and I make tons of stuff for all of us. And we just do tons and tons of email blasts. I remember this is one that we did where we were giving away a free home inspection. Right? When it comes to email, you can make it look nice. You can take your time with it. It doesn't have to be written so that a 5-year-old can read it. Because it's different. It's on the computer. It's not like that flyer that you're giving out. You only got a few seconds whether they decide they're going to crumple it up or not.
Yeah. And the great thing about email is, so long as you're not getting relegated to the spam folder or in Gmail, the promotions tab, even if they don't open it and they just delete it, but they don't unsubscribe, so long as you're on a steady cadence of sending out, weekly, monthly, bi-weekly, that's at least one time the people in your database are going to see your name, Andrew Ragusa, right?
Yeah.
And then the next week, Andrew Ragusa. And it's a long form, whereas door knocking, you might get someone who wants to list right away. Cold calling, you might get someone who wants to list right away. But with email marketing, how I view it, and you can disagree with me if you like, Andrew, is when somebody in that email list decides they want to sell or buy real estate, 3 names are going to pop up into their head, and 2 of them are going to be mine, my first and my last name, just because they've been seeing it over and over and over again.
Yeah. Dude, it's good. It's good. It's good. All right, guys. Anybody want to go over anything? Because we're pretty much done. I have a list that I can share with you guys, which I'm not going to give away the whole thing. But if anybody's looking for ideas for different types of videos to make that you want to run through social media ads, or you want to make a written series of what you want to put out, in an email blast or newsletter, I can give you a little help with that. You could do stuff like realtor tips for first-time home buyers, why you need to have financing in place before you look for houses, how to handle issues on home inspections, how to declutter the home, how to price the home so it'll actually sell, describe what absorption rates are. So take a boring and technical thing and sexy it up and make it explain it a bit so it really does matter. You show them how this works in a slow market. Do things like how to prepare for an open house, how to buy and sell a house at the same time, when is the best time to move to a better home. These are all topics that you can use.
All the juice. If you want this list, how about we do this, Andrew? If they want this list, you got to prove that you were here and go into the Discord in Mastermind event chat underneath education events and drop your email address, and Andrew will send it to you.
Oh, all right.
How does that work? We'll take their emails, right? Or you can send it to me and I'll email it to them, but we're going to collect your
I'll
data.
give it to them. It's just and then everyone's gonna go out and do my do my videos. It's fine. Go ahead. We all have different leads. It's cool. Do we have?
Oh, I thought you were offering to give it out. I'll take the offer.
I'm
I'll
giving
take it
some.
off the
I'm
table.
giving some of it away, but I have 2 lists. Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys one of them. I'm gonna keep the other one for myself.
Give them the dulled down one.
There's one here that's like fun facts about the city. You could do videos for first-time home buyers of what is a buyer's agent? Do I need 20% down payment? What are construction tips? You could literally, if you guys know anything about construction, I made endless amounts of content on construction. Walk through a job site and just point things out. This is this, it does this, this, and that for the house. Now you know. And you can make yourself a little 15, 20-second video just teaching people what the house does. Call me for more information. Call me when so you can figure out how to make your house do this, do that, whatever. I got videos for homeowners. What is a listing agent? What does the year... no, I don't like that one. Home maintenance tips for homeowners. Tips to sell your home on your own. Season maintenance checklist. Make a top 10 list of sellers preparing to put their house on the market. Top 10 things they need to know. Top 10 things sellers need to know before they move. Top 10 things about foreclosures. Top 5 things about short sales.
You know what's funny is how evergreen all these topics are, in that they could work at any time. And also, as you're reading out these video ideas to me, these are all great email ideas still.
Yeah, they're for both. That's why I'm telling you, you can use it for both. Use it for any form of lead gen you want, where it's either going to be video, social media posts, a blog. What I used to do is, I know I'm really giving away the farm here. What I used to do is I would do press releases. And if anybody doesn't know what a press release is what you can go to a website like, here, give you an example. Here's one website. Okay, now this is called AccessWire. And what you can do is you can write up a press release, which is information about you, your company, your tips, whatever you want to give them. So take something like, let's take something like, look. 5 important things you need to know about short sales and foreclosures. Okay? Take that list, write up a nice piece, and then come here to AccessWire, and it will blast out your written article to tons and tons of different websites. And you'll get your articles in Yahoo News, Business Insider, or Market Insider, or whatever. Like, you can put that stuff out there, and then you can use that stuff to say, look, my article got picked up by blah, blah, blah. Now, it does say on the website, when you pull them up, I'm trying to think of, maybe I can pull one up. Yahoo News, Andrew Ragusa. Some of them, you can tell the difference, right? Some of them, so here were some that were written by others, and it'll tell you. Here's one, went through AccessWire, right? And this was written by a publicist that I hired at the time. Real estate investor with a unique business helping people build wealth. All right? And then there's other ones that I wrote. Here, 4 ways to get your offer to stand out from real estate expert Andrew Ragusa. And I don't know where the article is. Looks like it got trimmed. But it was here at one point. Oh, it's the video. Here you go. This was actually when I was on TV. Never mind. I spoke on the news channel. This was in, I think this was in Virginia. Yeah, Virginia this morning. It's like CBS Virginia or something like that. It's a bad example. There's another one. Maybe it's this one. Get your offer to stand out. No, this is another TV interview.
All right, now you're just flexing on us.
Now, I made lists. They're out there somewhere. And some of them were like, so what happened was you would take these articles and I would put them out with AccessWire. Is my screen shared or no? No, it's not.
Yeah.
It is? There you go. Okay. I would take these lists and I would put it out on AccessWire, and I would write top 5 tips for this. 5 things you need to know as a first-time home buyer. Blast it out. And what happens is sometimes people from the news stations would read what you wrote because it's going out everywhere. That's the point of a publicist using these social media, this tool, AccessWire, which is basically a press release. That's the point of a press release. It takes the information and sends it out to the press, right? Sometimes someone will read it and say, hey, I want to interview this guy. And I was doing this so much that I got picked up by TV stations, and I was doing TV interviews all through 21 and 2020. I was on TV in many different states doing what I'm doing. And that was because I was taking written information, putting it out, and people are still calling me. To this day, I have the Wall Street Journal emails me and asks me to contribute to things that are going on in the real estate market. And this is from written communications I put out 2 years ago that they like what I wrote.
Wow.
I can't guarantee the same thing's going to happen to you. Okay? I also had a publicist who I hired to help me get even further. What a publicist does is they pick up the phone and they literally call the news channels and say, you got to meet this guy. So they push you even further. But a good portion of what we were doing, I mean like 50% of what I was doing was writing up these articles and blasting them out. So now if you guys do the same, take the information and blast it out, you can get yourself out there and you'll see what ends up happening. You're going to pull in a lot of good information to you. A lot of good people come out and reach out to you. All right? I hope this was helpful. I mean, I gave you guys a lot of different resources. You just got to be mindful when you speak to people that, first of all, they take the message and they duplicate it, right? You want to make sure they actually understood what you said. Look for visual cues. Make sure when they respond to the conversation that it's in context to what you were talking about. You need to make sure they understood you. If you know they understood you, then use written and spoken communication to their fullest power. Keep in mind what it does. Keep in mind that written communication will stay out permanently. So when you write your message, tailor it to that. Write a message that can stay out permanently. Write a message that can influence someone 5 months from after they read it. Right? Same thing with the verbal communication. You want to realize that this message isn't going to stay out, but the influence you can create in that moment can literally suck that person in. So when you need to get someone's attention fast, verbal. When you need to prospect over time, written and verbal. You understand? It's really simple. And the email is one of the most powerful things. Take the Kohl's database, pull their name, phone number, email address, and home address, and start blasting stuff. Put them in the social media. Put them in your email blast. You can put targeted ads in front of them. There's so many ways to lead generate. You have so many places to begin. All right, guys. I hope this was helpful. Luke, are you good?
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. I want to say thank you, Andrew. Thank you for everybody in the Discord call here. Thank you, everyone who tuned in. Masterminds tomorrow at 7:30, more of a general open forum if you've never attended before.